So hi everybody, massive thanks for letting me present today. So yeah, I guess it's 7:30, so it's quite late there today. So I think we've got about an hour today. We probably won't use all of that time, I guess, depending just on how many questions there might be at the end. So let's get kicked off. So I'm Nigel Rochford. I'm founder and CEO of a company called New Verve Consulting. So we're based in Scotland in the UK. We're a gold Atlassian solution partner. And what we describe ourselves as, we're delivery partners. So we're part of the Atlassian partner ecosystem. But what we want to do is we want to deliver value, and that value lies in all of the solutions that we build for our customers. So as I mentioned, we're based in Glasgow, in Bonnie, Scotland, which of course has lots of claim to fame, including things like the bagpipes, Highland Cow, the kilt, Loch Ness Monster. I'm sure you've heard of a few more. Fairly recently, I actually found out that the unicorn is the national animal of Scotland, which is a bit of a bizarre one. So yeah, it's a great place. So we deliver a number of solutions. We focus on IT service management, project portfolio management, automation, and also reporting. And we also provide numerous support services as well, such as cloud migration, which is pretty topical at the moment with Atlassian's recent announcement. So we help customers move to the cloud. And we also provide support services, and also we resell the software similar to other partners. If you do want to reach out to myself or anyone on the team, feel free to email us after the event. You can also find us at newverve.scot or mention us at newverve. Be great, I guess, if you are on social, just to mention us during the event if you'd like to. So today I'm going to talk about Crumbs. So how did it come about? So one of our local clients here in Scotland, they asked us to design and implement a service desk solution for them. It had to be simple, it had to be scalable, and it needed to serve over 1,000 customers across multiple geographic locations. Our solution was designed using Jira Service Management, so formerly Jira Service Desk, and we used a range of marketplace apps as well to facilitate things like reporting and automation. So at the time we used EasyBI and ScriptRunner, which I'm sure a few of you here are familiar with today. So our client ran the solution for a while in production, and they helped support their own customers through their own growth journeys and associated challenges. But our client realized that they had a major issue. Hundreds of incoming service requests were being picked up by their teams each week, but a substantial proportion of those requests were from customers who had lapsed service contracts. So services were essentially being provided as a goodwill gesture, i.e. for free. So in an IT service management context, how can you avoid such a situation where your staff time is potentially lost? And the answer is to give your teams more context. So key needs for our client at the time. So our client, they needed a simple solution that could centrally store information about their customers. And then secondly, provide that information in context to their teams directly within Jira requests. At the time when we looked at this challenge, we did look at third-party CRM solutions, such as Salesforce, for instance, and that could integrate with Jira. But like many other businesses we help, our client was a small enterprise. So they had about 100, 150 staff. And this route was both too complex and too expensive for them as well. So then what we looked at were marketplace apps to see if there were any available that would meet needs, but it needed to be simple and scalable. We found two products at the time, and one had poor user experience and the other was just too complex. It had too many features. So we needed a solution that was simple, easy to use, cheap to configure, and cost effective to run, and it didn't exist. So that's why we started building a solution, and Crumbs was born. So with Crumbs, you can avoid or replace the need for clunky and expensive CRM tools. You can make teams more efficient by giving them context directly in Jira. And going back to the original problem or challenge that our customer had, you can avoid lost time and revenue by verifying customer contracts and support entitlement first. And then, potentially engage them in the right conversation with the right people, for instance, sales. So the solution isn't just for IT either. So unified customer data in Crumbs is accessible to other teams such as legal, marketing, and sales. So pretty much any other function you can think of. For us, for instance, at NuVerve, we use Jira as our sales pipeline. We don't use something like Salesforce. So we have a ticket on the board representing a lead or an opportunity, and then our sales team can see which customer each of those leads is linked to, and then view the information in context on the board directly in Jira. So there's lots of different use cases for it. So that's the high level summary. So probably best if I just jump straight into a demo. So hopefully you can still see the screen. Maybe Davis, you can give me a thumbs up or let me know if you can see Jira. So I think Davis, you're still on mute. Okay, great. So this is, I'll just zoom in a little bit so everybody can see okay. So this is a test cloud site. So the app is built for cloud, Jira Cloud. And what I'm showing you just now is just the basic homepage or dashboard for Jira when you log in. So let me just open up my notes here in front of me just so I can share the information properly with you. So you access Crumbs just like any other app. So recently the main navigation changed in Jira in Cloud it moved up to the top. So essentially you access all of your apps through this new apps menu. And I think that's now rolled out to everybody on Jira Cloud. So what we'll do is we'll just open up the Crumbs homepage. So this is what happens when you open Crumbs. The homepage in Crumbs shows all of your customers in one place. The key information is displayed in a grid, which you can navigate or filter by using our quick search feature at the top. So for instance, if I just search for BBC, or maybe we've got some customers in Glasgow, you can just use that really simple, quick search feature at the top of the page, and the page will react instantly as you type. Now you can see here, there's a little avatar next to each customer. So Crumbs tries to find this by looking for the website icon for the relevant customer. If it finds one, it'll display it to the left of the customer on the home page. If you have Jira Service Management installed, customers who request help, hopefully some of you are familiar with Jira Service Management already, but essentially in Jira Service Management, you can group your individual customers together in so-called organizations, and that makes it easier for them to view and share each other's requests. So all of your Jira Service Management organizations are automatically picked up by Crumbs, and they're shown here on the homepage. So you can see Consulting 123, NuVerve, and the Scottish Government have all been picked up as service desk organizations. And then what you can do is you can edit and add additional information to those organizations. So it's essentially, it's not supported natively in Jira Service Management to enhance organizations with additional metadata. So Crumbs can do that for you. So to view a customer, all you need to do is simply click on it. That then brings you through to the customer details page, and it includes information. It's a bit of a weird website. Let me just change that. So that should automatically pick up the favorite icon. So there we go, it's pulled it through. We've bundled a few kind of standard fields with this. So you get description, website, main contact. So this main contact can be anybody on your Jira site. So it could be a customer or it could be a Jira user. We also have address information as well by default. And yeah, to edit the field, you simply just hover your mouse over the field, you enter details or choose a value. But if you'd like to capture specific and relevant information about your customers, so information that's relevant to you, you can create your own fields. We're constantly adding more field types. So you can see here, I've clicked add a new field. At the moment, we support single line text, select list, user picker, multi-select, and date time picker. So if I just go back to that kind of original challenge or problem that our customer had, so where their customers, they couldn't work out whether they had valid service entitlement. So why don't we just add in service entitlement number, and we'll create it as a single line text field. So we'll just add that in. So that gets added in, and then we give it a value. We'll just choose a random value, and we'll set some of these values as well. So status active, service package standard. So the product has been kept very simple. Again, this is one of its distinguishing elements from other potential apps in the marketplace. We wanted to keep it simple. And one of the things we do right now is when you add a field, once that field is added, it becomes available for all of your customers in Crumbs. So you can see I've added service entitlement number. If we click in through into another customer, you'll see here that it's available for editing as well. This may change in future. So we may add a central field management page just to give a bit more control. And that's likely to happen kind of Q1, Q2 next year. So earlier I spoke about the importance of giving your teams more context. So what I'll do is I'll just jump back to the list of projects in the Jira instance. And I think we've got a few service desk projects. So what I'll do is I'll just click the service desk. And in Crumbs, how do you give context? So what you do is you link one of these issues, so a Jira issue, you link it using what's known as the Crumbs glance. So you can see this is just a standard, this is a service request or a ticket within a Jira service management service desk. You can see on the right-hand side, there's a new panel that appears called Crumbs. So what we can do is we can just click on that. You can see that there's already a customer linked, but if we add a new one, we can just start typing, and that basically pulls in information about that customer directly into context within the Jira issue. So it's very, very easy for your agents then to see that information directly in the glance. So by default, let me just restore the defaults. By default, we show some kind of standard information such as the main contact, the address, and the country. However, what we can do is we can show relevant information to you. So for instance, we might want to show service entitlement number, status, service package, for instance, and we'll get rid of the address details. Just click done. And now you can see that we've got, the BBC, it's pulled through information, service entitlement, status, service package. And obviously if they have values, then they will show directly in context. If you try and link to a customer that doesn't exist, you can create it directly from the Jira issue. So it means that you don't have to go to Crumbs to actually create the customer. You can do that directly here from the issue glance, which obviously can save time and make it a little bit more usable. Earlier, I spoke about the concept of Jira service management organizations as well. So if we jump back to the service desk project, I'll just click on customers in the side panel. So you can see customers can be grouped into these different organizations. And we've got New Verve here. We've got Joe Blogs and myself. So they're automatically grouped together, within that organization. So what I'll do is I'll just raise a request just to show you an additional kind of added bonus of what happens in Crumbs. I'll just add something random like, let's call it random things happening. Please help. And you can see it's automatically given me the option of sharing with New Verve. So I'll just keep that setting. I'll click send. And I'll just have a look at, so this is the customer view, obviously. If I click through to see the agent's view. Now, because I've raised that as Nigel at newverveconsulting.com, it's picked up that I'm part of the new Verve organization. Now, the good thing is that you don't have to select it again in Crumbs. Crumbs automatically selects that. So it saves you additional time. So now agents can view all of this information in context directly in the request. So for instance, again, going back to that original problem, we can see at a glance whether a request is coming from a customer with a valid support agreement. Once a customer has been linked to one or more issues, that information is then shown in the home page. So you can see here that we've got lots of linked issues here showing up. We've got open issues and closed issues against each of these customers in Crumbs. If I click through into one of these as well, it's also shown on the customer details page here at the top. If we click through, it basically just brings us through to the search page to view all those relevant issues. So you can see that it's, it automatically creates the JQL that works behind the scenes, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So I'll jump back into Crumbs just now. So how do you use all this information in Jira? And the answer is, of course, search. So I'll just jump back actually to this page. So if we go into advanced issue search, and I've, recently or just very quickly just shown the JQL possibilities. But what we can do is we can start typing customer, and it automatically suggests all of the various different metadata or fields that you have associated with your customers in Crumbs. So for instance, during the demo, I've added service entitlement number. So you can search for lots of different things. So for instance, if I say customer.name equals BBC, it then returns all of the issues or requests that are linked to that particular organization, which happens to be the BBC in this case. Where the value really comes in, though, is in automation rules in service management. So again, I'll just jump back. This is the service desk that I was showing you earlier. So within a service desk, you've got these things called service level agreements, and you've got automation as well. So for instance, if you want to set SLAs for customers that have valid support agreements, that's probably a thing to do in your SLA configuration, but you can ignore anybody potentially that doesn't have a support entitlement. What I'll show just as a use case just today is the automation. So I'll just click through into automation. So this is a native feature within Jira Service Management. And what I'll do is I'll just create a new rule. So let's do something. So if an issue is created, so a new issue has been created by somebody, what we maybe want to do is to check whether that customer has valid service entitlement. So customer.service entitlement number is empty. So we'll just add that as a condition, and then we'll add a new action. So maybe what we want to do is we want to engage sales with that particular customer, or potential customer, or maybe it's a lapsed customer. So let's create it as a support ticket. We'll say that customer does not have valid SEN. Can you have a conversation, please? And then we'll just click save, and we'll give that a useful name. So to redirect lapsed customer to sales. So what happens now if somebody raises a request and they don't have valid support entitlement, so the support entitlement is empty, then this rule will kick in and it'll create a ticket for your sales team, and then they can actually engage then with that prospect or have a conversation about why that might be. So it's deflects from your service team, which you don't want spending time on this, just now at least. So the last thing I'll mention today, second last thing potentially, is permissions. So there's two levels of permissions in Crumbs. There's global permissions and project permissions. So what I'll show you first is global permissions. So to be able to use Crumbs, you must be granted one of these permissions. So there's the Crumbs user, Crumbs manager, and Crumbs administrator. And I think it's probably fairly self-explanatory, but a Crumbs user can view customers and their data as well as linking them to issues, but they can't edit, add, import, or remove customers. Now, Crumbs manager is like a super user and has full read-write access, so they have much more control. You can control who can do what by configuring these global permissions. You can see in our test instance, we've got various different groups of people configured and associated with those global permissions. The second type of permission are project permissions. Now, these ones are really, really important to configure because when Crumbs is initially installed, no users have permissions to use that Crumbs glance. So what I'll do is I'll just go back into that service desk project. And you'll know, if any of you are Jira admins, that there's these things called, in classic projects, there's these things called issue permission schemes. So I'll just show you that very briefly. So what we do with Crumbs is we ship an extra permission, which is called Crumbs view glance. And that's what people see here within a Jira issue. So you can see Crumbs linked customers, and that's where they can see all the linked information. So it's important to add relevant people into this project permission. It's slightly different for next-gen projects. So within next-gen projects, you need to do something different. You need to work with these things called roles. So if I just go into project settings, I'll click on access, and we'll just click on, okay, so I've actually converted this test site to a free plan, which is unfortunate. But essentially what you can do in here is you can create roles within next-gen projects. And what you then need to do is you need to associate an app permission with that particular role. So for instance, Crumbs. And then that gives you permission to be able to use that within next-gen projects. So yeah, we support next-gen as well, which a lot of current apps in the marketplace don't. They're in the process of bringing them up to speed. A couple of other things I didn't mention. So I've talked quite a lot about linking and showing information in context, which is obviously the most important use case for this. You can just use it as a CRM. You can add customers in different ways. You can add them through the user interface. So for instance, if we just add one here, then that brings you through to the details page where you can add all the extra information. So, you populate all that information there. You can also import through CSV. We provide some more information about that online. And you can also export to CSV as well. So at the moment, this just exports everything. So all of your custom fields, everything. And then what you can do is you can manipulate that offline if you need to. So yeah, I think we have a fair few things in the pipeline as well. So what I thought I would do is I just share you the kind of the roadmap things that we're working on at the moment as well. So we'll be working on further enhancements to our issue glance so that you can edit information directly within an issue. So for here at the moment, this is read only, but we'll be supporting direct edits here so that you don't have to navigate back to Crumbs. We're working on a few performance improvements as well for CSV import. So for people who want to import quite a lot of data, we just need to make sure that that runs as fast as possible. Shareable links as well. So for instance, if you want to share the information about Adobe with somebody, you'll be able to have a shareable URL, which they can then click and come back to. So we're working on that as well. We're also quite close to releasing additional search features for the homepage. So being able to filter by the different fields and information, which I think is really important, to segment your CRM once you have quite a lot of information in here. So it'll look quite similar to the advanced issue search in Jira, where you'll be able to select the values for fields. So we'll just switch back to the basic search. So for instance, you'll be able to search for all of the customers that have valid support entitlement, for instance. So we're working on that as well at the moment. We'll be adding more fields too. So status fields are something we're looking at. And we're also, so we've been taking quite a lot of feedback from customers in recent months. And one of the kind of key things for Crumbs is obviously it's a light customer management solution, but a lot of people have mentioned to us that they're quite keen on having some kind of account link or, finance element to it. So what we're doing is we're going to integrate with Tempo, where you can automatically and also manually link customers in Crumbs with Tempo customers. And then that'll pull through all the accounts that are associated with that customer into the Crumbs issue panel. So yeah, so we're working on quite a lot. We've got a detailed roadmap ahead of us over the next few months. So yeah, I think that's kind of sums up pretty much the product, and I'm very keen to answer questions and just to hear your feedback as well. So yeah, massive thank you to everybody. So I realized that was about 25 minutes presentation, but I'm keen to have some questions from people if you've got any questions, and hopefully we can answer them for you. So there is a question that's come through actually, whether it's GDPR compliant. So it's a good question. So we don't do anything in terms of, we don't keep data, personal data anywhere. So Crumbs is an Atlassian Connect app for Jira Cloud. So Connect is essentially a framework for building apps for cloud products. All of our customer data is actually stored within the Jira Cloud tenant, so within your own infrastructure or within your own Atlassian site. And obviously, Atlassian are doing a lot in terms of privacy and GDPR. So probably what I would say is have a look at their Trust Center. There's two things we do. We utilize what are called issue properties, and we use assets, so native Atlassian assets, and that makes it possible to view and store that information in Jira Cloud. In terms of application lifecycle data, we only store the information that we need. So your base URL, there's a shared secret which we use to communicate between Jira and Crumbs. But apart from that, we don't do anything else with data. So it should be fully in line with Atlassian's existing Trust Center and guidance on GDPR. Does anyone else have any questions or thoughts? I'd be interested to see if it maybe meets some needs of your own Jira instances. I'm not sure what you do normally in these meetings, but I'd be quite happy if you want to unmute people and we can have a conversation. I'm curious as well to see whether people here today are on server or cloud, and where you are kind of on that journey, I guess, following the recent announcement on the end of sale for server in a couple of years. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll share so Davis has asked me just to share my email ID. So I'll share my personal one. There we go. So it's nigel@newverveconsulting.com. So yeah, so feel free to reach out to me directly. Ask me any questions. We do have other products in the marketplace as well, so feel free to look us up. I'm sure there's something that hopefully appeals to some of your use cases. Ultimately, we're trying to make life a little bit easier for managing customer information and then providing that in context. What I will say as well is, just in terms of events, we do a webinar series as well. So we have New Verve Presents Atlassian in Scotland. It's a webinar series where we're sharing local customer success stories, from lots of different local customers, different types of customers. So feel free to look them up as well. You'll find details on our website. I don't think we've announced the next one yet, but it's likely to be in January. And I think it'll probably be relating to reporting, but in an ITSM context. So we'll be talking about EasyBI. So there's a question from Venkat. Any plans to launch on-premise version, specifically DC? Unfortunately not. So this is it's a cloud first and cloud only product. So it's just for cloud. But obviously, if we get lots and lots of interest from the market, from a DC perspective, it's certainly something that we could have a look at. Fundamentally, Crumbs is targeting SMB and SME, whereas DC is much more enterprise scale. And there's other types of solutions for enterprise level customer relationship management. No problem at all. Are there any other questions? Okay, no problem at all. Before I go, what I will say as well is I'm not sure if people here are familiar with a HR product called Bamboo HR. It's a really, really good tool for managing people, time off, benefits, all these kinds of things for people. But we are big fans of the product ourselves, and we work with quite a lot of customers that use it as well. We also have a question relating to DC. We've got a server app currently up, which integrates Bamboo HR with Jira, and then enables project managers to view time off again in context within Jira. So check that out. It might be of interest to some of you. We're working on DC at the moment, and that should be released in January. And then we'll have a cloud app following in kind of late spring, early summer. So yeah, feel free to check that out. And again, just if you can reach out to us, so nigel@newverve.scot or nigel@newverveconsulting.com. Check out our website, newverveconsulting.com, and you'll find out much more information there. So if there's no more questions, a nice short and sweet ACE for you this evening. I'll maybe hang on just another minute or so in case there's any more questions that might come through.